from the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
Good morning and welcome to Dispatch Radio, brought to you by theglobaldispatch.com, where we bring you all the news. Another beautiful day here in Clearwater, Florida, reaching out across the internet, Hillsborough, Lakeland, and such. With me, as always, my co-host, the expert in all things amoeba related, Robert Harriman. How are we doing this morning, Bob?
I'm doing great, my brother. It's great to be back together again.
Yeah, we had a couple of weeks where we alternated some vacation days and had a good time kind of recharging the batteries. And with us, our little executive producer in training, my son, Jake Jones. How you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Got to move that mic over there, bro. You don't have to kill yourself. All right, well, we have a ton of stuff on theglobaldispatch.com if you'd like to check out the different categories. And we have everything from all the hard news, politics, and that kind of thing. Bob's going to really get into some health and infectious disease later. We have two guests that have been personally affected by the amoeba thing that is breaking into the headlines now with the Louisiana case where the child has fallen ill from a slip and slide, and now it's actually in the water supply. So
he actually died.
He actually passed away. Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple guests that are coming on at the bottom of the hour. They're going to talk to us about that and how they have recouped from that. Here in a little bit, we're going to be playing our interview. I was able to have a chance to speak to a Christian artist, Jamie Grace, so we'll have her interview where we talk about some of the different projects that she's working on. So a lot of stuff going on this morning. Obviously, the news has been very consumed. I think we're finally kind of hitting the wall on this a little bit on Syria. I wanted to get Bob's thoughts because we really haven't been face-to-face on the radio talking about these things. But we had Putin's op-ed. We had the response to the op-ed. We had the talk radio and blogosphere response to the op-ed. What's Bob's response to the op-ed?
I can't say I totally disagree with Mr. Putin. But I'm clearly not in some kind of man crush with him like many of the people on Fox News are, because he's clearly still a very, very bad guy. But right now, he is the peacemaker, and the United States is not.
They surely don't like the fact that he's a peacemaker in some circles. And I wrote an article called The Painful Truth from Putin because he isn't saying anything that's not 100% true. It's just tough to have to hear it from a bad guy because he's not a good guy. I mean, freedom of speech is not existent in Russia. You cannot speak out against him and the government there. There's a lot of still human rights issues and just a total corrupt judicial system, those kinds of things. So it's hardly fair to look to Russia as some sort of role model for how to run our government. However, they are key to the relations with Syria. They're not about to let go of their port and their access to water there near Syria. In fact, that is one of the more recent headlines that we ran, where they have actually moved and added a naval buildup that will leave them with 10 warships in the area. So they are already countering the U.S.'s movement there. So again, when we hear the conspiracy theories about World War III and all those different things, the way this plays out in Syria is significantly different than the interests that were in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, or even Egypt. Correct?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. There's also been some other developments I'm not sure if you were aware of, that Syria has formally ratified the Chemical Weapons Convention. Mm-hmm. You knew about that?
I saw the scroll. I didn't really get into the story.
So that's kind of interesting because, well, that takes Syria off the list of the 7 bad guys, quote unquote, that remained on it. This include Israel, Myanmar, Angola, Egypt, North Korea, and South Sudan. And I'm just wondering, what is the quandary that's going to be created for the United States now that if Syria does this, is the world going to start demanding that Israel get rid of their weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons?
I'm actually surprised there already hasn't been more attacks on Israel from that angle. We always look at physical attacks. We always look at something like that. I'm actually always been surprised there has not been a United Nations movement to, ask for the elimination of those type of weapons, all weapons, chemical, biological, and nuclear. 2, actual economic sanctions, trying to find a way to cut them off more so, where just basically us, they're going to be just hindered in that area. And then, of course, more of the geopolitical movement of resources, trying to limit ships and different things getting in and out of the country because they surround that general area. But I think the biggest linchpin to all that's going to be Jordan, because if you read, I wrote a story last night talking about more persecution in Egypt, and the refugees all go to Jordan. When you read, that's where they all go, and we're there. The U.S. is in Jordan helping them manage refugees, and that's part of the concern with Syria is that situation will get even worse and become unmanageable. So before I move to anything else here, I wanted to get Jake's opinion, because Jake has been following this now with a lot more interest, which is amazing for a teenager. Because, by the way, I don't know that Jake would show up in a high school class, even a civics class, if there is such a thing these days, and people there would be able to find Benghazi or Syria on a map. So what were your thoughts on some of the things that you heard and found out about this week?
It's still mostly the same stuff. I don't know. I don't understand why America's trying to instigate with Syria. You know, they're wanting the bomb and all that. From what I've heard from the Vladimir guy, he does not seem like a nice guy.
No, not at all.
Anybody with the name Vladimir cannot be a nice guy. I mean,
strike one.
But at the moment, he does seem like he is the middleman, and he's coming up with the right solutions to prevent something from taking a lot of lives at this point. So.
And that's a very, very good assessment, because his brokering of the situation of trying to at least remove the chemical weapons is they agree upon. And I don't believe we should trust them. I don't believe we should just say, hey, this is going to work, and we can turn the blind eye. Yeah, they got it under control. I think we have the naval presence there, and we have military presence there. Well, fine, leave them there. Let them watch and monitor. But that seems like a much better option, at least for now, than launching missiles into a country.
Well, I don't think that's been ruled out yet, though, because even John Kerry came out concerning the ratification of this chemical weapons convention. He's still saying that's not enough.
Yeah, I don't understand what they want.
He's still talking about, he's not specific. He's saying that this is totally unacceptable because Syria isn't standard.
Wow.
So, I mean, take that for what it's worth.
Well, folks, I guess Syria's not going away anytime soon. We got another week of looking forward to Syria, and more headlines for us, but, you know, our country, I just don't get it. I wanted to squeeze in a couple